don't get in people's wallets and walk around. People can have a terrible house and a beautiful car, a great stereo system, and like, they don't care about their clothes. What if I do, a free online class for them? So I did that. And then I said, well, what if I do an in-person class? And I think I got like 3 clients out of that. And one of my coaches is like, she made her first, $300,000 on a list of about 2,000 people.
Yep. I heard of a girl, but I think she had either 2,000 or 3,000 people. She made $1 million off it. You can make, if you know what you're doing, you could make incredible money.
Does this sound familiar? You've found the perfect web design niche that sparks your creativity and brings you joy, but there's a catch. It's not exactly an industry known for deep pockets, which raises the $1 million question, or 5. Will these people even hire me to design their websites? Can I really make a full-time living from this? And if I go down this road, will I be closing the door on ever charging those premium prices for these really dream clients? Meet Shannon, an artist turned web designer who followed her creative heart and niched down into designing websites for artists, a group not exactly known for lavish budgets. Though, through some clever experimentation and some "why didn't I think of that" marketing strategies, Shannon built a fully booked out web design business serving a niche that she loves. So how much can you actually charge for websites in a creative niche? Are in-person marketing strategies the hidden gem that we've been overlooking all this time? And is list size really as important as everyone says it is? Join me for this interview with my past Square Secrets business student, Shannon, to find out.
Okay, Shannon, tell me about your offerings, because what you have is a little bit unique. Like, as you mentioned, you're not just a website designer. You have the coaching aspect involved. You still do art yourself as well. Can you tell me about what are the different things that you offer in your business now?
Through the Life Coach School, Stacey Bayman has a program called Make Money as a Life Coach and a great podcast. She suggests, and you have also suggested this, to have very simple offers. Yeah. And so that's what I have done on your on your input and Stacey's. So I have 2 offers. So my one offer, my program is called Metaphor Mindset Studio. And this is because this is my podcast too, the Metaphor Mindset podcast. So I want to help artists think about their business in the creative way. So that's what I do. And so Metaphor Mindset Studio is about thinking creatively, but also getting that practical side as well. My Metaphor Mindset Studio is 6 one-on-one sessions. So I have a 5-step process that I help artists go through to kind of create a business, to understand what business is. And it has those 5 steps that people can follow. And then the second offering is the same thing plus a website. So I sort of, when they say done for you or done with you.
Yep.
I sort of 2/3 do it for you. Because what I want is, I want them to have a great website that's ready to go. And so we make the basic pages for them. But in the second offering with the website, they get 12 sessions. It's over 6 months. So it's the mindset coaching, it's the program, plus we're building your website. And I have a class called Build Your Art Website on Squarespace. And so my main mission is to have artists be able to be in control of their own website, their own business, and be able to not have to call somebody every time they want to put an image on their website.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yep.
So that control over it makes a huge difference. So I build the foundation of their website, but also I go over it, make them feel very comfortable. I have that class for them to go back to and teach them how to do a newsletter, teach them how to build their email list and, put an online gallery and online store, just depending on what they want to do.
So the next thing I want to talk to you about was niche, actually. So a lot of people think about niche and then they're like, okay, well, only certain niches have money to spend. And people assume artists don't have any money to spend. And so I guess my question to you is, has that been the case for you? Do people spend money? Do artists spend money on websites and coaching and those sorts of things?
Okay. Well, this is a mindset issue, I think.
Ooh, good. Yeah, I think so too.
Right? Totally. You know this. But it's interesting to think about what people spend their money on.
Yep.
And one of my coaches, Christine Kane, who has this great podcast called The Soul Sourced Entrepreneur. She's not doing it anymore, but it's an amazing podcast. She always said, don't get in people's wallets and walk around.
Yep.
Right. Because you never know. I mean, people can have a terrible house and a beautiful car, a great stereo system, and they don't care about their clothes.
Yep.
It's just amazing what people spend their money on. And as they move forward in their life and realize, get to these points where, I'm making a big shift, I'm investing in myself. That is what it felt like to me when I was taking your courses and when I was paying for my coaching certification, which was a big investment with money that, I wasn't having. It was COVID. I wasn't having a lot of money coming in. I had to sort of scrape it together, but I felt like it was the right thing to do for me. I made it happen. Now I have these skills that I know what to do. I know what my mission is to help artists and to help artists get past this financial story, and as we do that and as we work through it, of course, the family of origin comes up, society's pressures, the sort of the idea of what an artist is. And I feel like when people figure out what their mission in life is, and then they're investing in themselves, there is a major switch that gets turned on, and they think very differently about that and say, for 6 months, I'm focusing my financial energy towards this goal of getting my business put together. And so when you think of an investment of, say, $5,000, say you learn how to build websites and you build your website and you get some coaching and, you do go down this road. How much is $5,000 in the potential for your future income?
Yeah.
When I sold my first painting for $2,500, it was like, that is my coaching money for this period. And it was like motivation for me to continue to learn how to think about money differently.
I think when people ask that question, is there money in this niche, for example? I think it is, as you say, there's a lot of mindset to it. And I think that when we start in business, I'm sure you find that with your people who you work with and everything, is when we start in business, we just it's just, you don't know what it is like to run a business or what it is like for people to make an investment with you or anything. And so, of course, our assumption is, oh, no, they wouldn't spend that or something. Tell me about your price points on your web design package right now. Be curious to know what sort of an average client investment is these days.
Well, and saying all that about money, I have my own money issue. I've been doing this, I would say, for 3.5 years, right? COVID. Started with my program of my 6 sessions for $800. And I've just recently raised it to $1,000. And I was building websites for $1,600. And I just recently raised that to $2,400. So I do have a mission of making it affordable for people in a payment plan. I know that what I'm doing with the pricing is I want to make it a no-brainer price for people. And not because they can't afford it, but because I wanted to learn how to coach and learn how to coach as much as I could and build as much value as I could.
Okay, final question on this, and then I have lots more questions about marketing strategy and all these things. But can you, so for people who are again, we both know it's probably more of a mindset thing, but they're oh, you can't make any money if you work with artists. Can you tell me about, you had an incredible year last year, you're on track for another incredible this year. Can you tell people what is possible when you work with artists in terms of revenue?
One thing that I'm doing now is slowly, bit by bit, kind of creating a community. Because it's been one-on-one coaching up to now. And that, so I can, and also the other thing is I'm in Illinois right this second because I'm going to Southern Illinois University to get an MFA in painting. So I have to teach here and I'm taking classes. So my business is, the nice thing about having your own business is you can do it as much as you want or as little as. But I'm finding that people are finding me, and so my goal is to have 20 hours a week filled with coaching clients. And so that's every other week, so I see potential for me to do 150,000 or, 125,000 next year. And, by incrementally raising my prices as well and just helping more people. So that's kind of where I'm at. But the idea of my one offer, my second offer, and now moving into only doing more of the second offer where we have a 6-month program where we meet one-on-one but also have a group. So I have also a community that I discovered, a platform called Member Up. And it's a platform that I discovered through one of my financial coach, Amy Sangster, who's awesome, where it's like Facebook, but it's not Facebook, no distractions. You can put your course up there and like a feed and all that kind of stuff. So that's great. I could do a Facebook group, but I was always sort of like, I don't know if I want to do that. But now I have it linked to my program. And I'm full disclosure, I have 7 members right now, but it's like, this is the foundation, the seed of what's going to happen for me over the next 5 years. And I want to have people in there. To me, like 50 people would be perfect because those are the people who've already gone through my program, then are kind of coming back as either once a month or twice a month coaching clients where they kind of renew, and then they can engage with each other as well. So that potential, I think, for a group mastermind, a group coaching program. Actually, this Friday, I'm doing, kind of a group program where I'm talking about what I'm teaching in some of these main 5 steps and sort of getting that started. So that's potential and where I'm going.
That's so good. Yeah. So I remember you mentioned before you did 85,000 last year, and then you're thinking so to get to the 125, 150 or beyond, you're trying to figure out you're successfully making steps in the direction of like taking just one-on-one services and also turning it into more group programs, which makes perfect sense. So I also love that you're blogging. Okay, so I want to talk more about blogging in a second, but can we also chat about like, people always wonder when it comes to like getting your first web design client or something. I want to talk about your marketing strategy now, but I also want to talk about it at the very, very beginning. Can you tell me about what was the way that you found your first like 1, 2, 3 clients, for example, if people are wondering like, where did they come from?
Well, and this is something that's interesting because I hear people a lot like, oh, I'm going to go out on Instagram and find, on social media and social media marketing and all that. And I took kind of the opposite tack. I went local. I live on an island with a town that's 2,500 people. I was a part of an atelier, which is like just a group of artists. We had our studios in it was a great like little arts community, and they all needed websites, or not all of them, but some people needed websites. Yeah. So I helped my friends and my local people build websites. So that was how I learned. They were more patient with me as I like figured this out. So I focused on Squarespace. And then also I would say, well, what you guys really need is an email list. Yes, I can help you with your website, but you need to be able to get out there. So let's figure out, I'll train you how to use the email list. I'll train you how to make a newsletter. And then I would work with the organization, the nonprofit, and we'd have, meetings every 2 weeks, and I teach them how to use their website and teach them the capabilities of what they could do for their organization. And then train their main admin person on how to do a newsletter, how to work the email lists. And that was great because for nonprofits, they have a little more money. So I would get kind of a chunk of money. And so that could be like a $8,000 job over 6 months or something. That was really a great source of income at the beginning to work with some different organizations. And then I did retreats. So I would have classes and I would do in person, like, let's plan your year, and I kind of taught some of my main first signature trainings. So one of them, and this is a mindset thing that I love to share with people because one of my main classes at the beginning is called The 4 Hats of Artists in Business. And it's still my free course on my homepage. So if you wanted
to link to it.
Right there. So, but at the beginning, it was like, okay, how many hats do you wear in your business? And so I made this little spread. I made this little PowerPoint, and I love making those like well-designed little PowerPoint classes. So I did that. And I gave this in-person workshop a couple of times, made some worksheets for it. And I thought, well, that's so silly. It's so simple. It's just like the 4 hats. It's like childish. But then I realized, like, after 10 people came to me and said, that was so helpful for me to just think of my business in 4 basic sections and also have that sort of metaphor in the fun thing of the hat. So I went around to local art schools and in the region and chambers of commerce and did free courses or did very low price courses in person, like a day workshop on the 4 hats of artisan business. And people could then have like an intro to what is business and what are all the hats you have to wear and what does that mean, And so that was really great. And that I got a lot of my first clients doing that, and just people who were like, oh, I get this. It doesn't seem as hard as business, people sort of make it feel, or it feels to me. So I'm, then they become my client. We build a website for them. So
this is so interesting. So, one of the hesitations, which people sometimes have before they come into one of my courses, is like, oh, but most of your students are like in their 20s or their 30s or something. Like, I don't know if I could do it at my age. And I'm like, yeah, you'll be fine. But interestingly, now I've chatted to a few, like all of my youngest students, they don't even think of it in person. Like, it doesn't actually cross their mind as like, I could go to a art school and I want to serve artists, or I could go to a chamber of commerce or whatever and like host a workshop, like a free or low price workshop, which basically is just getting you in front of an audience. And I think it's so interesting that you and some of my other students who I've recently chatted to, who are also a bit more experienced, they have thought of those things, whereas like the younger ones, it doesn't cross their mind. And so I think that's really interesting.
Yeah. Well, and here's another sort of experience I had. In Tacoma, Washington, they have an organization. Many cities and towns have organizations to promote the arts. So this is SpaceWorks Tacoma, I think it's called. And I did an informational interview with one of the, I followed her on Instagram and we kind of connected, Jennifer, and she's like amazing. And she helps organize all these resources for artists. And I was like, well, what if I do, a free online class for them? So I did that. And then I said, well, what if I do an in-person class? And so I hauled all my stuff down to Tacoma. I had to take a ferry. I had to drive down there. And she said, we can find some funding for you to do this. So she paid for my expenses and paid me a little money to do it. And I think I got like 3 clients out of that.
Amazing. Yeah.
And, and then also another thing that they did was they had this program where artists would apply to the organization to get help in business coaching or in, website work. And so I applied to be a part of that, where the organization actually paid me, not the artist. And so then that artist came to me and I had, I think, 3 clients through that, where the organization paid me, a good
for them
money for coaching these people and helping them build websites.
That's really
So
great.
there's a lot of money out there in the nonprofit world and the arts resources world of that you don't think of. So just think like different ways of figuring it out.
Yeah, that's interesting. Okay. All right. Now coming up to your present day marketing strategies, let's say, tell me about what are the different ways that people find you, or what are the different ways that you're finding clients now?
Okay. Well, blogging still. I have my list it's interesting, the whole concept of a list and how big it needs to be or whatever. And one of my coaches is like, she made her first, $300,000 on a list of about 2,000 people.
Yep. I heard of a girl, but I think she had either 2,000 or 3,000 people. She made $1 million off it. You can make, if you know what you're doing, you could make incredible money off a list.
So it's the right people. Now, and I always had this mindset of like this thought, like, I have 2,000 people on my list, but they're not the right people. They came to me at art shows and they were, are they all artists? Are they all having, businesses? So every time I put so I'm really shifting that mindset. It's like, I have enough people on my list. This is my new thought, that I can support myself in my business for the next year. And so now I'm like, my plan is over the next 2 years, do 12 episodes, each for a number and a month and a concept. So that's my plan. It's very simple. And also, doing some in-person events, especially at the end of the year, doing some online sort of plan your year workshops and things like and in-person things. So right now it's working.
That's good.
And I want, I'm just going to kind of keep, especially in school, just keep plugging away. And then having after that sort of taking the training wheels off when school's over and cranking up the group program so I can serve more people in that way.
Can you talk to me about chaos? So you mentioned that, so you obviously have the services where you're designing a website for a person, and then there's like the coaching that goes along with it to kind of help them with the other like marketing aspects and everything of their business. And then you also have your course. Is there one client who's right for one or not for the other? Is it purely just like, okay, if your budget is this, go for this. If your budget's that, go for that. Or how do you kind of think of like the two different like offers? Or if, I guess my question is always like advice to other people. If people are thinking of, okay, I want to do services, I want to get into like a course, what has your sort of experience been like? And how do you think of who goes where? Or are you trying to switch over to just like doing one or the other?
Okay. So the course or the curriculum is the same for both. So it's just one member portal. And they all get the 5-step process, like all the different things that I teach them inside that. But the one for $1,000, you'd get 6 one-on-one sessions over 3 months and no website. Although the Build Your Art website class is in there. You can do it on your own. But the second one, I help you build your website.
Gotcha.
And that's 6 months, 12 sessions over 6 months. And the reason I kind of, am now feeling pretty committed to the 6-month thing is after coaching for a couple of years, I realized like 3 months isn't enough. There's people they just get to the point where they're like, oh, I get this. I'm starting to get the business thing. I have somebody to talk to. I have somebody to bounce things off. I have somebody to be accountable to and set the goals. But then you get to the point of like, oh, I'm just ready to do a newsletter. I'm just ready to do marketing, or I'm just ready to do this or that. And then, then you're kind of like on your own with a lot of tools and you do it. But at the same time, it's nice to have that, that 6 months.
Totally. That's interesting. Okay. So it's actually, I guess you don't really think of it as two separate offers. It's like different levels of the same offer. So it's like everyone gets the curriculum. And then some people, they can also choose for like you to do the website with them and that sort of thing. That's really good.
And longer, more coaching, like 6 months.
Yeah. I love that. I also really love how I can tell that like when you went and served your clients and you notice, okay, they need to also do the email marketing, they need to do this and they need to do that. And so you really thought about like, how can I build an offer that genuinely serves these people? And it's for such a specific niche. So it could be like, there's another course out there on email marketing or something. But it's like, but you are speaking to a person who might not feel seen or heard by the other like things that are out there. So I think that's so great. I could tell you've tailored it to your person.
Well, your course on building your website and becoming a web designer, they're so great. And they are wonderfully broad because you can talk about a lot of different people, no matter where you're coming from. Those courses are so perfect and helpful and they lead you step by step through everything. And, I loved it. And sometimes like with the artist piece, there were just a couple of things that I wanted to dive in more with them, like how to create a gallery to make their art in a couple of different ways. Like, the portfolio pages, or do you want just a gallery, or do you want two, one for your prints and one for your paintings, and that kind of depth and that kind of like detail.
You can't get in a broad.
You're not going to do in a broad thing. Like I had a muralist who was a client, and she has to present her work in a very different way, and wants to show more process photos, but also like this is what you can get, and here is the gallery, but it's more portfolio, and you're not going to buy it online, but you're going to make a consultation call with me and I'm going to come and meet you, So there's so many different things depending on what kind of artist you are that it's not just a store, buy things.
Definitely. That makes sense. Also, I can imagine like the different price points and everything of art as well. There's some different strategy for sure than maybe like your typical. So that's good. Okay. Tell me about, so You have very successfully built for yourself a fabulous business. Can you share some words of advice? If someone else is watching this and they're like, I want to do what Shannon did. I want to serve artists, or I want to become a website designer. What words of advice, or if you think about yourself at the beginning, like what do you wish you could tell yourself that you would maybe like do differently or know from the get-go?
Work on the money mindset from day one. I'm still working on that, as a woman, as an artist, like strike against me. As far as like the messages that I have, and I know I have, I'm still kind of working with. And listen to people who think that making money is okay, and take advice from people who don't be put off by that. Right? Because a lot of, you can, and this is it, you can still have an attitude and a mission of service and a feeling of service and still make money. Right? It's not a dichotomy of like black and white. They can both exist in your mind at the same time and in your business. I can serve people, I can be compassionate and, do good things in my life and still make money and support myself and be able to spend money on the things that I want. Now, I'm not there yet as far as my goals, but I'm definitely on the road. And I watch people like you and people like Brooke Castillo and Stacey Bayman and Christine Kane. So people have all these different sources of income, and realizing that like if you can get your head around your own money story and those thoughts and those obstacles that are holding you back, it's really helpful.
Yeah, whenever on like the monthly Q&A calls when people are asking questions about like raising prices or what should they start charging or whatever, I'm like, this is a entirely like mindset based discussion, and like what your experience has been up until this point in your life with, I don't know, paying for services as well. I think it's like a huge factor of it, because I came straight out of college and then started doing this. I was like, people pay money, like people pay thousands of dollars. I'm like, what? Like that it just, whereas I think if someone starts a bit older where they have been doing this, I don't know, paying for some sort of service more regularly, it's a bit, they have a bit less of a challenge with it. So I absolutely agree that is a fabulous place to start. Final question for you. Someone's watching this, they're on the fence about taking one of the courses. You've been through them. What are your thoughts? Are they good, not good, worth it, not worth it?
Totally worth it, 100%. And, you didn't like ask me to say this or anything. And, when I took your content course about blogging, I was a writer. And so that kind of made sense. But I saw that you were, in a sense, you felt like you kind of had to convince people to write and to blog, right? Because, people don't want to do it, or it's hard, or is it dead, or whatever. But really, like, that has helped make my business, because my name and my little articles and all the SEO that's going out there with my words and my mission and what I want to serve the world with, ideas and concepts, that is as much to me like an accomplishment or a feeling of, like my art or whatever, as anything. So yes, the courses, the content, and I'm not sure how that's in there now because I took it way back when, but, and then just building your website, like the step-by-step, so helpful. You can go back and you can watch them over and you just walk through everything, which was so helpful to me. And also it's updated on, different things. You're like, you're like in the circle and you're up to date on all the things that are happening with Squarespace. So I love that. And also becoming a web designer and just kind of the way that you teach people about business was really helpful for me because, I had that same confusion. And then how do I niche and what do I do? And I want to help artists and how are they going to pay? And like all the questions that you've been asking me were really just, your classes really give you this sort of, okay, I'm going to lead you through it. You're in good hands. And you may be a safety person on the Colby more than me, who's a risk taker. And so we're a good balance. It was like, I know Paige is going to take care of me. And I know I'm a risk taker, but I still have a lot of confusion and apprehension about like all of this.
Yeah.
And just keep going. Just keep going. And that's what I've done is, so yes, take all the courses. I love the bundle because I like to, I'm just going to find the money, and I invested and it was worth it.
Mm-hmm. So glad to hear it. And it always brings me so much joy when you see a student who really took the lessons and absolutely ran with it. And you really have. So I'm so happy to hear that.
Yeah. And that's always the question of are people going to show up and do the coaching that they invest in? And so it's our job to continue to sell them on them. You're an artist. You can do this. You have a mission in the world. Get busy. Let's do this. We're excited about it. And like you're teaching women how to have businesses, and not just women, but probably mostly. And I love how you show that you're going to Necker Island or whatever. It's like, yeah, good for you. I want to do that. Don't ever be ashamed for showing or talking about money or showing all the things that you're doing. It's like, it's important for even older women like me to say, I can reinvent myself at age 50 because I have a lot of wisdom to share, and have young friends and stay young, and, we can learn from each other.
Yeah. Oh, that makes me so happy. That's so kind of you to say that. I really appreciate that. That's something which I have, coming back to money mindset, something which I have struggled with is showing these things of I don't want to be showy. I don't want to be whatever, but also it's a aspect of showing people what they also can do. And so I'm so glad that your takeaway from watching, say, that video was I want to go and I can do that too. That's incredible.
Shannon's story is proof that with the right marketing strategy, even some of the more challenging niches have the potential to flourish into a fully booked business that perfectly complements your lifestyle. But as you've heard, knowing your niche is just one piece of the puzzle. It took serious determination to choose her marketing strategy and get Shannon to the point where she's at today. So if you're still wondering what the best fit marketing strategy is for you to transform your chosen niche into a booked out reality, then I've created something super special for you. Click the link below to take my client finding strategy personality quiz. Within minutes, it'll reveal your perfect method that you'll actually enjoy marketing your business with. Then watch this video next, where I break down exactly how to implement your new strategy.